Hello everyone, and a really warm welcome to this first end-of-year EFC video message. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Angel Font, our chair, and by Charles Keaton, the editor of Alliance magazine.
Thank you. Hello everyone. 2020 has been a terrific year because it has changed completely the way of working. But we would like in this moment to wish all of you the best for this end of the year and also the best for the next one.
And hello from me at Alliance magazine. In the spirit of solidarity between different parts of the sector, I'm delighted to be joining our colleagues at the European Foundation Centre to ask them a few questions and reflect on what this year has brought and what might happen next year. So just to start with you both, maybe with you, Delphine, you joined 3 months ago, and Angel, you arrived as chair just 6 months ago. I'm in the middle of this extraordinary time. How are you? How are you both?
Well, I think, from my perspective, I've been doing well. I've been welcomed by a really committed and competent team of people who care about the sector deeply, and I've been working with the management committee and the governing council really closely, and have been impressed with the work of the members in this current context, and hence I'm looking forward to what we'll be able to build together as we move forward.
And Angel, how are you?
I'm very happy to work with this extraordinary network that EFC represents. I think I'm very honored just to take this leadership in this moment. But to be honest, I really believe in the work that all the staff is doing there, and so it has been really easy to manage. With more screen work than I imagined just 1 year ago. But on the other hand, I think also the pandemic has shown that there is different ways of working, and we have learned a lot. So for me, it has been very, very, very interesting times.
That's good to hear. And Delphine, you were just saying to me before we went live that you have to step over Lego in order to, while working from home, to manage a situation. Working from home has been a challenge, an adjustment for everybody. But for someone joining a new organisation in such an important role, how have you managed to connect with the EFC team in this context?
Well, I mean, I think, reflecting upon leadership in the times of COVID, to me, it's been an opportunity to increase empathy that you can have with colleagues around you, understand them better as a person beyond what they are in terms of their job description. It's an opportunity to increase flexibility and hence connect more closely together to the sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose, I believe, is very strong in the EFC. I think we all really want philanthropy to be at its best. We want to serve our members and be, to some extent, a thought leader also with our members for the sector. And that's what I've really seen in the context of this crisis. Everyone within the EFC has reorganized, started working differently, working from home, caring sometimes for parents, sometimes for children, but really staying connected throughout the crisis so that we are there to help our members also navigate as they deal with the many challenges that society is facing today.
Yes, and you mentioned that in many ways, this has been a moment where philanthropy has really been at its best, really taking responsibility in times when there's been enormous needs in society. And I know that you conducted a survey of your members during the time when the pandemic was unfolding. And I just wonder whether you can just share some of what you were seeing and how you were able to react to what your members were telling you. Maybe if you go first to you, Delphine, and then Angel, if you can just follow it up as well, that'd be great.
So I think we're all really impressed with how our members responded in these difficult circumstances. Of course, the problems that foundations have been dealing with for decades have only been accelerated because of the pandemic. And it's been amazing to see how foundations and members of the EFC have increased their flexibility, have thought of new ways of working, and really have centered around developing new collaborations within their teams, new collaborations among themselves, new collaborations also with their grantees, and there we've seen some tremendous change. One of them I'm thinking of is how one of our members changed the process from applying to obtaining the grants from 6 months to 6 weeks, and how some of them have changed the written format of reporting to a conversation, how some of our members have continued supporting artists during the pandemic, despite the fact that there was no possibility for them to perform, really putting the interest of their mission first and building those new relationships. And I'm confident that this will last also and have an impact on our sector going forward.
Thank you. Angel.
I was really impressed about the magnitude of the response, and especially the speed of the response, because it was a quick response from the philanthropy sector. And, probably societies see foundations as something that is not related with emergencies. But under this situation, we've shown that also foundations can act quickly and in a huge response. And I'm very happy to discover how many things has changed in the way of working. We have heard better our partners because we know that they need other things, and we change administrative procedures in order to reduce times. We react quickly, as I said. So it's a big movement, but probably it will be useful not just for the pandemic, but for the next year's working.
Yeah, it's very striking to hear about these changes in funding practice, the speed of response from you were mentioning, Delphine, from 6 months to 6 weeks in some cases, turning around funding applications. We saw in an Alliance survey of our readers that there's also been an increased commitment of funders and foundations providing core funding. Is that something that also came back from your members in the conversations you've had?
Absolutely. I think our members have been really concerned with keeping the sector alive. I mean, this is a crisis that hits really deep and that will cut opportunities for the sector if we don't really mobilize together. And we've seen that there's been an increase in core funding. And coming from a sector, from the NGO sector before and the grantee sector, I can see how much this really corresponds to a need. We need that tissue of civil society to be strengthened and to be able to sustain beyond the wave of disruption that we're all going through today.
And of course, European philanthropy is not just facing one crisis in the coronavirus crisis, but multiple crises. And another notable one is, of course, what's happening in relation to the climate. And I know that's been an increasingly important issue that the EFC and its members have been beginning to really step up their engagement on. And I just wonder whether you can just comment on how you've been handling that, maybe with your Euro Philanthropics initiative or your thematic networks. What other developments you've seen this year in relation to climate?
Well, I mean, I think climate is one of the crises that unites us all. And unfortunately, it's there to stay unless we really, again, pull together and have this also whole of society approach in addressing this issue. And to me, Angel has mentioned that in one of the interviews that was taken with him earlier, it's also about putting that fourth P into the picture, where philanthropy also contributes to finding solutions. And we've seen that our foundations have increasingly had an interest in funding for climate. We are now in the process of conducting a mapping of what is happening in that field specifically, and we'll be presenting that in 2021. We had our Euro Philanthropics on the 14th and the 15th of December, and I'm pleased to say that we've had the highest attendance ever for the event, which also goes to show that you can do events online and really reach out to a vast amount of participants. And what we've decided to focus on for this conversation was the combined crisis of climate and COVID-19, as Angel referred to earlier. These are absolutely interrelated. And we've had a really exciting chat with policymakers, but also among ourselves, to see how we have responded to the COVID-19 crisis and how the sector is increasingly also funding in the field of climate and investing resources, thinking, energy in making sure that this fundamental crisis that is unfortunately here to stay, unless we really mobilize all together, is one that has been on top of their minds as well.
We have learned also that all crises are really connected. The idea that the climate crisis is really in the basis of the health crisis, because it's the virus also came from our interaction with the environment. So I think taking care of the health of the planet is the same now as taking care of our health. So I think that interconnection is clear. And also the idea that any crisis on the earth and the climate or in the health also will affect inequalities, because we have seen also that. So working on inequalities, health or climate, of course that there are different strategies and different ways of working, but at the end is working for the better society, and they are completely interconnected.
And the other issue that you've both emphasized as interconnected is an interconnection between our sector, the philanthropy sector, and the public and private sectors. Delphine, you mentioned about those 3 Ps of public, private and philanthropy. So just taking a couple of the issues you work on, whether it's climate issues or gender issues or inequality, how do you see the kind of extent of philanthropy's role alongside the public and private spheres developing over the next year?
No, well, I think, to me, it's, if you look at this from, for instance, the framework of the SDGs, the SDGs very much have an approach whereby you bring together all the sectors of society to address some of the main challenges that we're facing and work towards a number of targets and goals. And to me, philanthropy clearly also pictures in that context. I think philanthropy is one of those players. Philanthropy has the potential really to contribute to finding solutions, to being creative, to thinking systemically. And I think that is where our role also lies going forward. And so I'm excited to see how the sector has really engaged in that conversation in looking at how do we contribute to what will affect all of us eventually. Going back to what Angel was saying, all of these crises are interconnected, and so are the responses. And to me, that is also where philanthropy is an important player going forward.
What did you say on this combination between the private resources that the society has and the public one? They are the big movement that we have. But philanthropy, that probably is smaller, has the capacity to activate the other two. I have studied chemistry in the university, and there is a process in chemistry that also fascinates me, that is the catalyst. You have 2 big substances, they put it together, they don't react, but if you add some specific substance, that is the enzyme or the catalyst, things start to happen, reactions, and something happen. For me, that image is really what is philanthropy about. And philanthropy has to have the capacity to activate new processes on all these fields that we have. And I really feel that this pandemic has shown that this is the real position that we have in several projects that we have seen of our members.
Thank you. So a more catalytic role for European philanthropy, but in order for it to play that role, there's also processes and changes that are occurring within the European Foundation infrastructure and ecosystem. And one notable development is about the ongoing conversation between European Foundation Centre and Daphne, the donor foundations network in Europe, which originally was under the wing of the network of European foundations, part of the EFC kind of umbrella. How have those conversations gone in 2021? You've inherited some of these conversations from your predecessors. What's happened this year, and what do you expect to see next?
What we have seen this year is the right momentum to go ahead on that process of convergence between both organizations, because of this role of the philanthropy will be increased in the coming years, because it will be more important to have a single voice, a greater voice, a clearer voice, also to interact with European institutions and also from at national level. For all the reasons we realize with Daphne members and especially Daphne chair that it was the moment, and the conversations are in the right position, and I'm really convinced that we will see a process of convergence of both organizations during the next months. We are working hard with them, and I think we share completely the vision, the values that they are behind of having, together the whole philanthropic family at Europe level. So this is what I think that we will show in the coming months.
Delphine?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think we have an opportunity to really move forward with this. And we see that with the convergence, which will hopefully happen next year, we'll be able to speak with one voice, better represent the sector, also better serve our membership, connect the dots between what's happening at European level and what's happening at national level. And I think with Angel and with the management committee and the governing council, I'm really excited to see that happening and to build that bridge with Daphne and have a joined up organization.
So the Governing Council has just met and agreed and passed a resolution to foster increased convergence between the European Foundation Centre and Daphne. Can you explain to your members what the implications might be for, not just for the two organisations, but for European philanthropy as a whole?
I think the step forward that we made in that Governing Council meeting is impressive. But it is just a first step of a long process that probably will take the first half of the next year. But on the other hand, first steps probably are the more important. So I'm very happy to see how all our constituency, all the membership is supporting that idea to create a great environment, supporting this, what I mentioned, philanthropic family in Europe. I think what will happen is some developments in legal issues, in economical agreements or something like that. That will happen in the coming months. But at the end, what is clear that is probably by summer, we will have one new organization trying to serve better to all the members, both foundations and national platforms. This will be the new organization about that. This is because we'll have two kinds of members, but both are needed because single foundations are the base of our constituency, but also national platforms has the capacity to improve our connection with the ground, with all the countries in Europe. So what we foresee is by summer, we will have just single organization working for the sector.
Well, I think it's really exciting that we're moving forward with this important plan, this important decision that has been taken together. And it's an opportunity for the sector to speak with one voice. It's an opportunity for us at the EFC and at Daphne to do better at working with our members, helping our members to be at their best. And I think we have an opportunity to create a new organization, building on the legacy, of course, of EFC and Daphne, taking along all that is good in what we've been doing over the past so many years and becoming stronger together. So I'm really excited about that. And I think it will help us all move forward, really looking at the big agenda that is out there for us to look at rather than focusing too much on the internals. 2021
will not only see these developments, but also some other changes at the EFC. Your conference, your annual conference, that typically takes place in May and June, will actually in 2021 take place in October. It's planned in Vienna as previously planned. Can you say a little bit about the AGA next year, the conference that will take place, and what can be expected?
Sure. I mean, so we'll have our statutory General Assembly in May. It will be a virtual statutory meeting. And we'll also start building up through online connections in the course of 2020 to then meet physically again in 2021 in October in Vienna. We're building up a really exciting program. And I think most importantly, people are looking forward to seeing each other again, to having those connections and interactions, because that's, I think, what everybody's been missing over the course of the last year. So stay tuned, because we'll be informing you in more detail about how this is shaping up, and hoping to see you all there.
Angel, any comments on 2021? Further comments on 2021?
If you allow me, I would like to highlight a comment on 2020. Okay. I think one of the most important decisions that an organization can take is to decide who will be the executive leader of our organization. Is something that came up just last summer, and let me highlight that for me personally, and I think for EFC, was really important that after 15 years of service of Jerry Salol, the idea to replace the position of the CEO at EFC was a very relevant decision. I'm very happy to see and to say that also the Delphine Moralis as a new chief executive, the first female in office, and also I think the first person coming from Belgium, I think also. It has been a great decision, and I am sure that will be really relevant for the next years.
And for me, yeah, I feel privileged to be working with Angel. We've been working very closely over the past couple of months since I've started, and it's great to be able to align on strategy. And of course, I have a lot of respect also for the legacy of Jerry. It's what has been achieved over the past 31 years by now. This organization is impressive. So I'm humbled and honored to have the opportunity to continue that work.
And do you have any final closing messages for your members, who hopefully you'll be seeing more of in person in 2021?
I would like to wish all the members the best for their organizations, the best also for them and their families. But I really hope that the challenges that our European societies will face during the 2021 will need better and stronger philanthropy. And I really wish that all our members will be in the position to also to offer new programs, to offer new solutions to their societies. This is my really wish for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree very much, and thank you. I think we all hope for the best. I think some of the phrases that we've heard in the past year were around never letting a good crisis go to waste, or in chaos life fertility, and there's some truth in that. For me, I'm looking forward at the future with hope, and I really wish all of our members the very best in doing what they do, but also personally, and I look forward to having an opportunity to meet with them in 2021. And most importantly, before we close, on behalf of everyone at the EFC Secretariat, I wanted to share a heartfelt thank you for working with us, for your loyalty, for your support. We're here to serve you, and we look forward to continuing our conversation in the new year. Thank you.